From Islamic Finance News, the world's leading Islamic finance news provider, this is IFN Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to IFN Podcast. I am your host, Nasreen, and with me in this episode is Raheel Iqbal, the Managing Director and Global Product Head at Codebase Technologies. Thank you so much for joining us today, Raheel.
Thank you, Nasreen, for having me on this podcast.
Of course, sure. Let's talk about your Islamic finance product over at Codebase. Can you break it down for me as someone who is not necessarily a fintech person? Sorry. Tell me, what is it and what makes it unique?
No problem, Nasreen. So basically, Codebase Technologies have been pioneering in the Islamic banking sector for over 22 years. We are basically leading our way within the technology space when it comes to Islamic banking, and recently in the digital side of Islamic banking. We offer our customers an entire digital banking roadmap and a digital banking suite across their Islamic finance propositions, whether it be a bank, a non-banking institution, investment company, or so forth. So we basically take care of the entire roadmap from a technology perspective for any Islamic financial institution.
Right. And I'm assuming this is happening because they cannot take advantage of the existing ones that are not necessarily Sharia compliant, correct?
Yes. So from a technology perspective, Sharia compliance become a challenge for financial institutions who want to do Islamic banking or Islamic finance. And what we try to do with our clients is to come up with a proposition which is ground up developed for Islamic banks and Islamic institutions, which focuses on the Sharia compliance part very rigorously. So we have our internal Sharia reviews, we have our internal Sharia team who looks after the products and make sure that the customers are compliant with all the regulations. As you know, the Sharia compliance rules change from country to country,
Right.
region to region, right? So what we do is we engage with our customers and we work with their local resident Sharia teams as well to ensure that the rules and the regulations, what they have put in place, are adhered to as well. So we
Right.
work jointly with their teams. In addition, what we also do is we advise the customers based on the IOFI standards. As you know,
Right.
IOFI is the main body assisting banks and financial institutions on the Sharia governance part. So we basically help our financial institution customers to follow those from a technology perspective as well.
And what's the reception been like? I'm sure you've worked with a lot of Islamic financial institutions, for this product. And I'm just interested to know what kind of pushback you get. What are their concerns? Aside from the Sharia compliance, or maybe that's all their concern is. I just want to know what those concerns are and how do you, overcome them or address them?
See, the main problem, I would not say pushback, but the main challenge today within the Islamic finance segment is typically they are lagging behind their conventional counterparts in
Right.
across the board, be it technology, be it the new product offering. So they are a bit lagging behind. And what they expect from their technology enabler, what we call ourselves, is basically someone who can advise them on not just on the technology aspect, but how can they basically come up in the market, give better products, give better experiences to their customers while remaining Sharia compliant. So we look at very holistically when it comes to the Islamic banking sector.
Right.
Sharia compliance is part of our DNA.
Excellent.
However, what we need, what we try to bring to our customers is new best practices, global best practices from a customer experience perspective, from a UI UX perspective. And in everything, we ensure that our product remains compliant, be it our design strategy, be it our profit calculations, be it the product itself. We try to ensure that at every level, the Sharia compliance remain within the DNA component of our product.
I think this is since you mentioned global, you guys have plans to expand to the Middle East and North Africa, and even beyond, especially for the MENA region. Many of the core Islamic finance countries are located there. Let's talk about what is exciting about this market and how you guys, maybe you could talk to us about like your expansion plans over there.
So see, when it comes to the digital banking space, right?
Mhm.
Everyone is talking digital today.
Right.
With the unfortunate pandemic we are in, everyone at the financial sector got the hit when dealing with customers in a very traditional manner.
Yeah.
However, our clients who before COVID, we were in a position to advise them on a complete digital transformation strategy, and they adopted that. And they were the ones who excelled during the pandemic in terms of their servicing to their customers, in terms of their new customers coming to the bank,
Mhm.
and they benefited from the situation that they did not got impacted by the closing of the retail branches.
Right.
And and we were way ahead of the curve, where we were advising customers or our financial institution banks that they should be looking at digital banking, digital onboarding, digital lending for that matter, and creating new experiences. So
Mhm.
that helped solidifying our presence in the market very well within our client base. Now we
Gotcha.
deal now we deal with large Islamic banks in the region. One of the oldest Islamic banks in the region, the two of them, we both of our customers, and we've been helping them becoming a digital pioneers in the region and outside the region. So
Mhm.
Codebase today looks at three key markets: the African continent, the MENA region, and the Asia Pacific. So
Right.
we cover an entire spectrum. And if you look at this market, it's a very unique market. We have a huge Muslim population.
Mhm.
We have a huge overall public population because Islamic banking is for everyone. It's not just for Muslims.
Right.
So we try to bring in our products and services for our banks in a way that it is agnostic. It would be applicable for everyone on the planet. So
Right.
that's the overall vision from our organization perspective. Now we
Mhm.
are very active in these three key regions of ours. We
Mhm.
have offices across these regions who are trying to create awareness, create that education within the banking and the financial sector of how do you go digital. Now, the
Gotcha.
biggest challenge what these institutions face today is of legacy technology. They
Mm.
have brought in old systems which do not talk to each other. They're not digital. They are very heavy. The change is very difficult, right?
Mhm.
And that's where our focus has been on how can we help those banks who have been using legacy systems, who do not have the capabilities. How can we still make them digital without them investing too much or rip and replacing what we say
Right.
their existing systems? And we have been successful. We have been very successful in doing that, where a bank do not need to change their existing systems, and with our proposition can still go digital. And we've taken them in under 3 months. That has been phenomenal success what we've seen with our customers.
Right. That's great. I just want to quickly talk about open banking in this region, since we're talking about this region. This open banking framework, that's kind of been a trend, I think. If I'm not mistaken, Bahrain started, one of the banks in Bahrain started offering open banking. What can you tell us about this?
Great. Open banking is the next big wave for the financial sector. And I
Mhm.
think, and I strongly believe that the Islamic banks can actually take this to their advantage by
Okay.
creating new experiences. Now, uh, Codebase Technologies is a member of the Open Banking Working Group for the
Mhm.
MENA region. which is in partnership with the MENA FinTech Association, the AMF, the Mastercards, and of the worlds. We are part of that open banking working group. And recently, the working group basically came up with their report, the first ever report for the MENA region, which was taken very positively by the central banks, by the banking sector, and the non-banking sector as well.
Okay.
So we're part of that open banking phenomena already, and we're helping banks to adopt to the best practices. Now, Bahrain is the leading country right now within the MENA region who has brought in the open banking framework.
Mhm.
Saudi has recently published its draft rules,
Right.
and they are catching up. Yes, UAE is already working on those drafts as well. So everyone is catching up to this new phenomena. What we have done is we have brought in best practices from the European region, which is considered to be the pioneers in open banking, the UK and the Europe, and
Mhm.
we've brought in those best practices within our technology platforms, which
Mhm.
can allow banks to do open banking, allow creating new customer experiences,
Mhm.
be it data aggregation, personal financial management, or payment initiation services. So we have brought in that technology from the very best, and basically now doing it for the MENA region, localizing it, and be able to offer that proposition to the local market. But I can tell you, open banking is something which the banks should be looking at very aggressively, and implementing it within the organizations for future growth perspective.
I'm sure. I mean, I'm sorry about this question, but I'm not sure how Islamic finance or Sharia compliance fits into like the open banking framework. Is that ever an issue?
See, the open banking is for across the market segments.
Hmm.
Whoever utilizes it can basically become a leader in the digital space. Now, we have a lot of, and if you see our regions like the MENA region, the Africa continent, even the Asia Pacific region, we have a
Mhm.
large population base, and there is a financial inclusion challenge. The
Okay.
financial inclusion challenge is spread across the financial landscape. It's just not accessing a banking product, but it's also accessing financial services or
Exactly.
finance or the lending product as well. So
Right.
open banking is trying to solve or trying to bring that harmony within the operators or the financial institutions to allow looking at a use case of financial inclusion, being making it more accessible, making it more easier to share information, to
Mhm.
do KYC, to do financing like open finance, or even embedding finance within the non-sectors, non-banking sectors.
Gotcha.
So open banking, yes, it is very much applicable for our regions because of the key challenges which we face today of access and inclusion.
Right. Gotcha. I wanted to ask you if there are any trends that you can predict or at least, hope to see that the industry takes up this year.
See, the industry has been focusing on certain foundational elements. With the pandemic, everyone is now accelerating their digital transformation journey
Hmm.
internally. However, yes, because of the pandemic, things had to be shifted. There had been challenges within the organization, legacy organizations.
Hmm.
But what I see as a trend, or in what would be what would Islamic banks typically should be doing to progress post the pandemic era
Hmm.
is basically very closely looking at the digital onboarding segment.
Gotcha.
Today, the customers do not feel comfortable even after the vaccinations happening, after whatever the SOPs are there, but customers are still reluctant to go
Right.
to their branches, and that is where you are losing your business.
Mhm.
And plus the millennials and the new customers, or the Gen Zs and so forth, they are not interested in the old traditional model of banking at
Right.
all. what they want, everything at their fingertips, everything instant, anytime, anywhere, wherever they are. So they
Mm-hmm.
want, just like they have their social media around them 24/7, whenever they want, they are expecting the same kind of service from their banks as well. And
Yeah.
that is where the banks have to pick up the game, especially Islamic banks, and they have to deliver a complete new experience
Yeah.
to their customers.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about what we can expect from Codebase this year?
So Codebase is expanding its horizon
Mm-hmm.
within these markets. And the key focus for Codebase for 2021 is to basically launch at least 11 SaaS propositions. Uh,
Okay.
from a trend perspective, uh, because of the cost cutting requirements, there is a huge need of a SaaS driven financial services within the Islamic banking, and
Mm-hmm.
there is none right now. We are the one of the first ones to bring Islamic digital banking on a fully cloud SaaS ready model in the region, and we expect to increase our penetration at least in 11 new countries this year.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been our focus last year of developing this new proposition and becoming a leader when it comes to SaaS offering for the Islamic banks. Uh, this region, beyond this region, so it's applicable for Asia Pacific, it's applicable for the MENA region, as well as for the African continent.
That all sounds very exciting. We look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Great. Just on a closing note,
Yes.
Islamic banks need to pick up the game very fast.
Hmm.
Conventional counterparts, as you know, are heavily invested in technology. And
Absolutely.
our recommendation to Islamic banks is to do not be frightened or fear of their legacy platforms,
Hmm.
because we can help them uh, utilize and leverage their existing investment and still take them digital in a very short period of time. And we have done it with the two largest Islamic banks today in the world. We've done it with them, and we can replicate that success, be it digital onboarding, digital financing, instant lending, regulatory reporting for that matter. Basically, they can easily adapt and become a digital leaders in the market.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Raheel. Thank you for being here with us today.
Pleasure for having me, Nasreen, on the call.
Thank you for listening. For more discussions on the Islamic finance industry, log on to www.islamicfinancenews.com. You can also listen to IFN Podcast on your favorite platforms, including iTunes and Spotify.